So today we are going to talk about Lilith and work with the Succubus, as well as work with Belial, and that is going to be our main talk. So first and foremost, somebody asked me to channel Belial and Lucifer. So because of the circumstances I am in, it's impossible to channel the Belial and Lucifer at the same time. But it is possible for me to channel just Belial. So I am going to do that. And then I'm going to share my observations regarding work with the Succubus. So let's start. By the power of Al-Haq, I invoke you, Belial. By the power of Yahak, I invoke you, Belial. By the power of Yahak, I invoke you, Belial. By the power of Baram, Balgadam, Doran, Mardan, Margal, Argam, Margal, 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 equal you Belial into my body by the power of Baram. I equal you Belial into my flesh by the power of Baram. I invoke you, Belial, by the power of Baram, Balgadam, Doran, Mardar, Marial, Argam, Bargal, Margal, incense, darkness, chaos. You have suffered a lot 6 years ago. For you to call me, it is difficult because you are relatively new to this. But if you wish to do so, I will tell you how. Go into the room or any isolated place with the legs of the chicken, my seal and incense. And call me by the power of Sabaoth, who drowned the nations. And you will repeat the name of Sabaoth, who drowned the nations. And you will call me by the power of that name. Summon me by the power of Sabaoth, who drowned the nations. Invoke that furious divine energy, and then call me by its power. Carry chicken leg, incense burner and incense, myrrh and cinnamon. That is the only thing you need to summon me. I will make sure your business has the right connections. And protect you. That will be my job. I'm leaving now. Okay. the channeling was short and it was interesting. If you kind of want to know what is the message of this, I think it is pretty clear that Belial is wanting to initiate you into some darker work here. Because Sabaoth, who drowned the nations part of the channeling, is pretty interesting. It's interesting for many reasons. Because when I summoned Belial in early days of my magical practice, wherein I was still a Satanist, open demonolator, who considered those spirits to who be divine, he would always basically say, I rebuke the force which drowned the nations. And in that sense, it's a mockery of a Christian dualistic story about a good God, because God drowned the nations. Obviously, within the broader context, it's completely logical. Why would source of all creation drown the nations in the great flood? Because that was the only way for humans to survive, because humanity was too far gone in the self-destructive ways. But fundamentally speaking, what is really interesting is that, in my experience, he uses only this kind of vocabulary when he wishes to initiate into darker work of sorts. He obviously promised protection and business connections in high business places. Those are some of the things Belial can teach and Belial can provide as a service. Now, I was kind of really tired today, the entire day, and heavy energy of Belial was with me for the entire day. I kind of prepared for the entire day for this channeling, so I'm kind of dizzy. But basically, this specific channeling is an invitation for a really dark work. And he basically wants you to become a witch in a traditional sense. Now, I don't necessarily support it as a human who is channeling it. I am just the messenger. I was paid to channel him, and I say what spirit is telling me to say and to channel, basically. What it means is that Belial wants you to basically do magic outside of the social norms, outside of what is considered good, pious behavior, outside what is considered decent behavior. This is a specific invitation for transgressive acts of esoteric insight. And he's going to deliver really quick results. In your specific case, he specifically wants to work with you as an individual. This is a specific individual invitation, but what is required is for you to go outside the social norms when the ritual is involved. So there is a specific power in transgression which is invoked with divine permission through the cooperation with those dark genic entities. So in order for that to truly be powerful, you have to seek divine permission Get divine permission on the account of your free will. Get divine energy through the repetition of the divine name. And then do transgressive action through cooperation with those entities. And that will be required of you in this agreement. It will not be a written agreement, it will not be a soul agreement, it will be a modus of operation. Now, Belial is not really transgressive with everyone. He's transgressive only with those who he wants to work with seriously. Which tells me that you probably have much more potential for those matters than what you originally think. So basically, the ritual is easy, the initiation ritual. You have to go into the room where you are alone, chant the name of Sabaoth, and let the energy flow. When the energies flow, you call Belial with this set of words. I summon you, Belial, by the power of the Sabaoth who drowned the nations. He comes pretty quickly. You light the incense. The presence of Belial increases, and then you start working with him in that manner on a weekly basis, building rapport and over time engaging in those transgressive actions in order to get the things he promised in this channeling here. Okay, there is another channeling I have to do for today. For both channelings I prepared. So the first channeling you listened to today was the channeling made for a person I'm gonna call as Kanshi. Now we are going to do the channeling for the person I'm going to refer to as Alex Fan. And I'm going to invoke Lilith and answer his questions. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Baram, Balgadam, Daran, Mardar, Marijal, Dargam, Barar, Shalmash, Katida, Lojak. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Barham, Malgatam, Turan, Mazar, Yalargam, Berger, Shalmash, Katida, Lojak, Shalak, invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Baram, Malgatam, Turan, Mazar. I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Baram, Malgadam, Doran, Mardar, Marijal, Bargar, Shalmar, Yadim, Ragadim, I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Baram, Malgadam, Doran, Mardar, Marijal, Bargar, Almar, Yadim, Ragadim, I invoke you, Lilith, by the power of Baram, Malgadam, Doran, Mardar, Marijal, Bargar, Shalmar, Alex, your work with Estala will grow stronger, exclusively through the sexual copulation in the trance state. It should be done out of love, because you summon her, you feel her love, and you approach her as a lover. You approach her as a concern. You approach her as her beloved. Treat her as a lover. Seek her as a lover, and she will love you back. As soon as you feel her presence, treat her as a lover. Speak to her as a lover. And she will show you her force. Do not treat this as a familiar relationship or as a spiritual relationship. Treat this as a sexual relationship. Treat this as a romantic relationship in which you are allowed to have human wives, because the girlfriend is not a human. Treat this as a privileged polygamous sexual relationship. Polygamy is allowed to you because you cannot see her, so she has to let you have other wives. But treat her as a lover. The time for incenses and braziers is over now. When you feel her, sleep with her if you have enough time and space and you feel like it. Treat her as a lover. Work on astral senses, but not to see her, but to be better at this in general. That is all I have to say for today. So basically, I am quite surprised by this, because this is the opposite of how I treat relationships with my succubi, and I have seen a lot of succubi relationships go rogue because of this approach, which Lilith is advocating for in this channeling. I think that this seems to be the more effective way to go, but this is really risky. Well, let's put it this way, this is really risky, extremely risky. Because when your astral senses are on a low level, you never know what is a succubus and what are your own thoughts. Because we are, we invoked Lilith basically to discuss a succubus relationship between Alex and a succubus bound to him. So basically this will work, but fundamentally what needs to be understood is that this is really risky. So it looks like Lilith, as usual, counted on my obligation to plug the holes in the information she provided. Because obviously this is not an entire story, because when he works with succubi in this manner, he has to have a way of making sure that he is not talking to something else. So, we're gonna work on that for sure. Now, regarding the quote, the times for incenses and braziers is over, what I think she referred to is that the time of introduction is over. You already introduced yourself to the spirit. Now you have to have a relationship with it. And when you work with the succubi, the most potent way to have a relationship with them is to treat them not as a spirit, but as a lover. And then your relationship with them explodes. So this is really risky because you can get imposters and you lose too much energy. So my advice is when you work with succubuses in this manner, especially for sexual energy, reduce it to once a week or maybe twice a week. And to make it safer, you should ritually marry them, which is possible. We can discuss that, how to do that. Basically, you summon a superior of that succubi and you ask it to be a witness to a marriage between you and the succubi, and then it creates like a marriage chain between you and the succubi and greatly empowers the spirit link between two of you. So my advice is don't copulate with your succubi too often, in the same way you shouldn't copulate with women too often, because sexual energy drains, and you should be careful about how you express it in general. Now, regarding channeling angels and jinn in the same round, the only two angels I can summon with the jinn in the same round are Harut and Marut, and that's basically what I'm going to do. I am going to channel Harut and Marut and invoke them for the last person of today. I'm gonna call him M. Ismail, just so he knows that the remaining channeling is his, and he asked questions regarding his work with Raphael. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. By the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. I invoke Harut and Marut by the power of Al-Haq. He needs to cultivate his own spiritual light first. Open the gates of light. Learn how to radiate light and channel the energy of the divine names. For healing of the spiritual afflictions and physical afflictions he has, chanting of the name of Allah Al-Shafi or Ya Shafi will greatly benefit him. Let him master and learn this name. Chant it and feel it. Once he masters it, he can summon Raphael. He needs 100,000 energized repetitions to master the name. You are obligated to guide him through it. Until that is done and Raphael is summoned, the work cannot be over, and will not be over. This is going to be hard for you as well as for him. However, you are not allowed to charge any additional money for the difficulty of the work. We clearly forbid it if you want this to be permissible for the flow of divine light. And before I go, the angel Harut, I have the message. He will not learn any acts of permissible or impermissible magic, theurgy or sorcery, until he is ready for it. In the same way that a man will not lift a boulder until he is strong enough. For to a weak man you can show all of the ways of lifting a boulder and throwing it, or making a house out of it, and he will not be strong enough to work the stone. So this is the last channeling for tonight. I think this channeling was self-explanatory for this person, but also for many other people watching this. Thank you for watching. If you want more content like this, support me on Patreon. If you want to contact me for channeling like this, contact me through the links in the description. Talk to you soon.